Oh hey, didn't see you there. Hey, what is up all my lonely watchers? It's Lonely for Buki here, back in the speculation chair, as you can see. Now last time we did talk about the potential Yokai Watch 5, which would be presumably revealed around now, and that's exactly what happened. Well, not exactly, but we did get something new Yokai Watch related. At the level 5 Vision last year, we saw the unveiling of Ghostcraft, which is looking like it's going to be related to Yokai Watch in some way, whether it's like a sequel with a new name, or a spiritual successor, or something like that. You can just tell by the trailer that it gives off total Yokai Watch vibes. A lot of people say it has nothing to do with Yokai Watch, but today I'm here to talk about two things. One, how it absolutely is Yokai Watch related, and two, how this could shape the future of Yokai Watch. So anyway, let's get into it. People argue that level 5 is trying to completely kill Yokai Watch and replace it with this new thing because of Yokai Watch's recent recession in popularity recently, even though that's really not the case. Yokai Watch hasn't been popular pretty much everywhere in the world recently due to, not many things coming there. I mean, the new anime did come to Korea as well as a Yokai Watch 4 Chinese localization coming earlier this year, but besides that, not much has spread stateside besides the manga, which has been consistently coming out here for quite a bit, as well as in Europe. That Music Note anime that we mentioned, though, Season 2 is actually doing well, despite why some people might tell you that it's not, because there was a little dip at the end of Season 2 in watch time, but still, it wasn't enough to get the show canceled or even anywhere close. It's actually doing not as good as the original series, but the best that Yokai Watch anime has been doing in years. Yokai Watch smartphone, despite how miffed I am at that announcement and the fact that they told us we were getting a new game when it was just a port of an old game, despite how much that still angers me, it's still been selling extremely well in Japan. Very well, I guess I should say, not extremely well. It's not a chart topper or anything, but it is bringing Yokai Watch back into the limelight. This, along with the new pack of medals and watches, which is still yet to arrive at my house at the time of recording this video because it got delayed. I get that video out as soon as possible, assuming it's not, came out before this because of scheduling or whatever, but anyway, that's not about that. This isn't about that. With the new Yokai medals and watches that have been coming out recently, with the 10th anniversary watch and the Zeroshiki S, and the new S medals, along with the booster packs, which are finally coming back, because UL Level 5 is confident enough and Bandai enough to do these things again, we can clearly see that Yokai fever isn't dying out as much as we think it is over here, just because we're not as fortunate as they are over there to have Yokai Watch stuff be prominently promoted. And one final blow to the people who have been saying that Yokai Watch 4 won't get localized, and since it's not getting localized, then Ghostcraft will also not get localized. Level 5 has confirmed that every game they revealed at that presentation, and even some before that, like Professor Layton in the World of Steam, and Deca Police and the new Izuna 11, as well as Ghostcraft, will all receive a global release date on the same day, in multiple languages. So we know 100% chance that this thing is coming to America if it comes out at all. But some people are just way too stubborn to think that because they're so pent up on how, since Yokai Watch 4 isn't coming, this isn't coming because they promised Yokai Watch 4. But this is different, alright? Because this is a whole new thing coming out at the same time. At the same time everywhere. The only reason Yokai Watch 4 never made it here is because it didn't do well enough in Japan for it to receive a release date outside. That combined with how Western audiences have a dwindling interest in Yokai Watch, it's just not feasible to bring it here, especially with how weird and wacky Yokai Watch is. A lot of Yokai Watch's main identity is bent up in Japanese and Eastern Asian mythology, which is just hard to translate. They can bring it over here, but it's not as likable. We see Pokemon do this kind of thing, but their representations of these creatures are a lot more subtle, and they're just that. They're references. They are not these creatures, unlike how most yokai are actual Japanese yokai. And that would make the title of this make more sense. Ghostcraft. Not yokai, not some onryo, not some other sort of East Asian thing. It's something that's global. Pretty much every single culture has ghosts in it in some form, as opposed to yokai, which are so region specific, and a lot of its mythology being pent up in things that aren't really familiar to Western audiences. That's why I feel like, with the most part, if they do decide to go with a more monster catching aspect, which I don't think they will, but we'll get back to in a minute, but if they're going to go through a monster catching aspect, or if that's going to be a secondary mechanic of the game, then I feel like the designs will be more so inspired and more so likable to Western sensibilities, since this is supposed to perform well everywhere. I'm sure there will be a lot of Japanese culture injected into it, but I'm sure it'll be a lot more subtle as how Pokemon does things. That being said, I don't think this is Yokai Watch. I think this is a spiritual successor to that franchise. I don't view it as really a sequel. I do believe it will have loose connections to Yokai Watch, which we'll talk about in a second, but I don't think it's going to continue pretty much any of what Yokai Watch does. But considering all the vibes and the music from the trailer and the design of the cat that we've already seen, it's definitely Yokai Watch inspired, and it's definitely going to take a lot of hints from there, but it won't be a sequel or anything. At least I don't think so. I could see it either being a different universe, or like universes that sort of collide. Like, I could see some characters like Enma or Jibanyan or even Nate making appearances, or maybe they're being references, but I don't see them being like parts of like the overarching story, the overarching world building that they're going to try to build with this. I think there will be definitely a lot of references to Yokai Watch, but I don't think that it will hinge on its characters or its playstyle or anything like that. With this, I think it's gonna be more of an adventure style game. Think Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, or like Yokai Watch 4 if it was actually more fleshed out into a more explorable world, because that had hints of like exploration in there where you could actually jump and around and do things. But I think the Scarlet Violet approach of an open world will be more of what it comes to here. Maybe not open world per se. I mean, I know I keep backtracking on myself on this, but not necessarily open world, but like large open areas to explore, like open zones, I guess is more what I'm saying. I think it will be like an open zone, like adventure RPG hybrid, I guess. I guess you could consider this something like more closer to Dragon Quest, where there are sprawling areas to explore. Forgive me if I don't play a lot of RPGs, so forgive me if I make a stupid comparison, but I did play a little bit of Dragon Quest XI. So in that game, where there are areas that are connected with paths and there are different areas to go on the map, I'm thinking it's going to be a map like that, not something as rigid as like Springdale is, or BBQ, or something like that. I think it's going to be way more open than that, and there may be even other towns that you can visit, and not just like old Springdale or time travel things, like actual different towns in the world. With that, I do want to say that the action battles will probably stay from 4. I'm sure it'll be reworked a lot to like actually work, but I think they're going to go that route instead of the turn-based or the wacky things that Yokai Watch would do. Because while Yokai Watch battles are really fun and intuitive, they're also very annoying. Besides the befriending system, which is an absolute mess, and you could be feeding a yokai its favorite food for hours and still not get it. There is also the fact that you just can't control your yokai, which I know was annoying for me, at least, and a lot of other people. Even though it does have its charm, a lot of people didn't like it. The fact that a yokai could just loaf or just not do what you want it to is an infuriating thought sometimes. And I think that aspect of Yokai Watch may have turned some people off, because when I talk to people who prefer Pokemon or Digimon or whatever, a common complaint I see is the battle system and the befriending system are just not that good. Speaking of Digimon, I haven't played a lot of Digimon, but I did play Digimon Cyber Sleuth, and while I didn't like it because of its evolution system, I could see something like that working its way into Ghostcraft. Now, you may say that doesn't make sense, because Ghostcraft is a series where, is based on the title, presumably, you'd be crafting your own monsters, but I think there's a way that we can infuse both of those ideas into one. I think this will be, like, the main thing about Ghostcraft that sets it apart from any other monster catcher. Even though Yokai Watch was already pretty defiant to the rules of the genre and was, like, really pushing the envelope, despite the people that say that it's basically a Pokemon ripoff. I'm pretty sure everybody could agree who plays Yokai Watch and Pokemon, or at least most people that play Yokai Watch and Pokemon, that even though they're in the same genre, the way you collect the monsters and the world building and the story and all the stuff like that is completely different. Alright, I've only played a few Pokemon games, but I can already tell that Yokai Watch is a completely different beast. That, along with the fact that I enjoy Yokai Watch a lot more than Pokemon, but that's more of a personal preference thing. I know people who do love both. So based off the trailer, we can see this Lucky Cat statue get fused with what looks like a wisp. Now this, I think, is going to be indicative of the con system in Yokai Watch 4. You'll be able to collect different objects in the game, like different ordinary objects. I'm sure there will be some weird things in there, but for the most part, I think it's going to be ordinary objects and other things that are just brought to life that you can fuse with souls. Maybe it'll be like a con mechanic in Yokai Watch 4, when you're fighting another enemy and you beat them, you can steal their soul, and then you can use that soul to infuse another object with and add a party member to your team. And I think this will have much more customization and options than Yokai Watch 4. I'm sure you'll still be able to train these ghosts with certain attitudes and things like that, but maybe depending on what you fuse them with, you can also fuse them with more things, and that can also affect their stats and their gameplay and battle and other things. And you could create how Digimon sort of has things with their evolution system, where you can choose different paths and do different things to get completely different monsters. You ever see like a Pokemon evolution chart? It's just like a thing, and then it gets bigger, and then Yokai Watch is usually the same, except it's only one step, because there's usually only one evolution per yokai, if there even is one. But Digimon is like a whole chart where it goes in different directions. And I think if this Ghostcraft game used something like that, we could really get like a unique system here where we combine the best of the con system from Yokai Watch 4 and the best of the fusion system from Yokai Watches 1 through 3. And we could create they could create something really special here that's very intuitive and very strategic. And also shares a lot of elements from all the other monster catchers, but makes it in its own unique way. That being said, we won't have to wait much longer, because the next Level 5 vision in April of 2024 is set to fully reveal Ghostcraft. Now, with some Level 5 games like Deca Police being delayed until post-2025, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it's post-2025, but with Level 5 postponing more and more of their games, hopefully we can still see this thing in hopefully like mid-2025. We can finally get our hands on this thing. But I'm getting way ahead of myself here. First we need to see what this actually is, and hopefully at the Level 5 vision in April, we'll get a genuine look at what Ghostcraft is. I know Akihiro Hino has been hyping this up ever since he revealed that one Ghostcraft creature from the trailer, like in March, I think, of last year. So it's been nearly a year since he revealed that. And with him in the summer saying that Yokai Watch anime, the Yokai Watch Music Note anime will soon end so that they can focus their efforts on other Yokai Watch things, I do not know how someone could deny that this is the Yokai Watch thing that they were talking about with what they showed in the trailer, or the teaser rather. It may not be Yokai Watch 5, but who knows, it might even be better. Anyway, that is it for this video. Let me know what you guys think Ghostcraft will be. Maybe I'll feature some theories in a future video, but like I did with the Yokai Watch 5 video. But I just wanted to get some of my thoughts out on this before it became too late. But I oddly enough don't see a lot of people talking about what Ghostcraft will be instead of just Ghostcraft exists. Anyways, let me know what you hope to see in Ghostcraft in the comments below. Join the Discord server, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye, my lonely watchers.
Bye.